Hello, this is my student-led research presentation. How does school funding work in your district? There's a couple of steps that are involved in the process. First, the district's budget is planned and updated regularly as new information comes in. It uses a method called zero-based budgeting, where leaders from departments and schools help decide how money should be spent. Every month, actual spending is compared to the budget and reported to district leaders and the board in a treasury report. The district is fully responsible for creating and adjusting its budget, managing money, handling any extra funds or shortages, and managing debt. Independent auditors check that the district's financial controls work well and that it follows laws, including rules for federal funding. Each month, the business office gives the board a report showing any changes to the budget. The next step is budget planning. Planning starts in the fall before the new school year. A calendar is made to keep track of important dates and tasks. This helps the district stay on schedule to approve the budget for the next year. Budget preparation. The budget is based on the best estimate of money coming in and out. Money is allocated to school principals and department leaders who decide how to use it at their schools and departments. Again, mentioning zero-based budgeting means every expense must be explained and justified from the beginning. The budget also includes staff salaries, benefits, and expected big purchases or projects. The business office meets with leaders to collect their budget requests, and the finance committee looks at priorities and challenges. Early budget information, including revenue estimates and possible staffing or program changes, is shared with the board. The next step is budget adoption. In May, the board sees the first draft of the budget and can ask for changes. A proposed budget is prepared and shared again in June or July. The final budget is approved in August or September. And then after approval, the final budget is sent to the State Board of Education, the regional superintendent, and the county clerk within 30 days or no later than September 30th. Budget implementation. Once approved, the business office puts the budget into a financial software, either Skyward or Forecast 5, so it can be used during the new school year. And the last step is budget management. Throughout the year, the business office stays in touch with budget leaders to make sure spending follows the budget. The budget process always looks ahead to prepare for the next school year. On the following slide, it shows the enrollment history for my school district, Grace Lake, District 46. The most recent up-to-date numbers that they were able to provide on the website was school year 2022 to 2023. So I've highlighted that total enrollment number is 3,677 students. This slide shows the data of all the government funds that were allocated. So it shows the revenues, the expenditures, other sources, and after all the deductions, we were left with a remaining balance of 35,403,343. So with those numbers, that calculates the budget per student at the district level of $9,655. To the right, there's a graph that just briefly explains District 46 quarterly financial overview dashboard, which includes key revenue, expenses, and financial balances data by quarter. Revenue information includes revenue by source, such as property taxes, CCPRT, interest earnings, evidence-based funding, state transportation reimbursement, and federal Title I funds. How does that compare to the state and national average? On to the right, the graph I've already highlighted, the total budget requested amount. 2025 was the latest actual numbers that were posted. So it's 748,138,100, and then the enrollment is 137,075. So with that calculation, it'll give us the next slide. So here's the formulas for the state. The budget per student is $5,463. And at the national level, it's $5,701. At the national graphs are shown on this slide, as I've highlighted. For the United States, the total amount is $16,560 worth of expenditures or available funds. And I'm sorry, the 16,560 is the total student enrollment. And the allocated funds or expenditures is $945,275,855. So going back to the slide, as you can see, comparing the state and national, it's not that big of a difference. What are the effects of economic inequity in schools? Economic inequity in schools leads to many serious problems that affect students, teachers, and communities. First, schools in low-income areas often have fewer resources. This means they might have older textbooks and technology, and their buildings are not well kept or up to date. Because of the lack of funding, students may miss out on important programs like extracurricular activities, sports, arts, advanced classes that'll eventually help them grow. These schools also have a hard time keeping or retaining good teachers. When teachers leave, often it disrupts the students' learning process and their behavior levels. Additionally, students in underfunded schools usually perform worse academically compared to their peers, leading to higher dropout rates. The stress from economic challenges can also affect students' mental health, making them feel anxious or less confident. They may feel left out or undervalued, which impacts their sense of belonging at school. In the long run, these issues can limit students' chances for higher education and good jobs, keeping them trapped in a cycle of poverty. It's important to address these funding gaps so that all students have the opportunity to succeed and reach their full potential. What do other countries do to address similar issues? Many countries have found ways to tackle economic inequality in education and make sure that all students get a good education. Investing in fair funding, support services, and community programs can help reduce economic inequality in education, allowing all students to thrive. A couple of examples. India, the government has launched programs to provide free education to children from low-income families, along with midday meals in schools to encourage attendance and improve their overall nutrition. In Mexico, the government implemented the Prospera program, which provides financial support to low-income families in exchange for keeping their children in school. This ultimately helps families afford education-related expenses and encourages children to stay in school. China's investment in education is overall in all the rural areas. The government provides subsidies for schools and offers incentives for teachers to work in less developed regions. This helps improve the quality of education available to students in those specific areas. In Sweden, the government provides free education from preschool through university. They also offer support services such as free meals and counseling to help students from low-income families succeed. In Germany, the government has implemented programs to support students from disadvantaged backgrounds, including tutoring and mentoring initiatives. And this helps ensure that all students have the resources they need to perform well in school. In South Africa, initiatives like the National School Nutrition Program provide meals to students in low-income areas, encouraging attendance and improving health. Additionally, the government has invested in improving school infrastructure in under-resourced communities. And in Kenya, the free primary education policy allows all children to attend primary school without tuition fees, increasing enrollment rates. The government also provides grants to support schools in disadvantaged areas. Who are the leaders in your district, state, or the country pushing for change? At the district level, the superintendent is key in advocating for fair funding and resources for schools. They work with the school board to make policies that help all students. School board members also play an important role as they are elected officials who influence education decisions and can push for changes to support schools in need. A quote that I was able to locate: until this year, funding disparities between schools in the same district were hard to identify. Most districts didn't budget in a way that allowed comparisons of school level spending. They reported only district-wide averages, making disparities across districts the primary fodder for conversations about educational inequities. Now, a federal financial reporting requirements has taken effect, demanding that states report per student spending by the school, just as they report students' performance by school, and forcing transparency about disparate spending inside the district lines. Matthewson, 2025. At the state level, the State Education Commissioner oversees education in the state and advocates for policies that promote fairness and access to quality education. State legislators are elected officials who can sponsor bills aimed at improving funding and resources for schools, especially those that serve low-income students. On a national level, the U.S. Secretary of Education works to improve education across the country, focusing on making sure that all students have equal opportunities. Organizations like the Education Trust and American Civil Liberties Union also fight for education equity and support policies that help disadvantaged students. While federal law has only recently demanded transparency around school funding disparities for every district in the country, equity battles have played out in a handful of districts and communities over the years. Also quoted by Mathewson, 2025. Additionally, local community organizations and activists are essential in advocating for educational changes and funding that benefit schools with fewer resources. Together, these leaders and organizations work to create a fair education system for all students, giving everyone a chance to succeed. And last slide, what are some creative, actionable solutions? First and foremost, schools can hold fun events like bake sales, talent shows, or fun runs to raise money for supplies and programs. Getting students, parents, and local businesses to participate and involve can create a strong community effort. Schools can also team up with local businesses to get donations or sponsorships that support educational activities, such as adopt a school and provide financial help. Another idea is to offer workshops that teach teachers and staff how to write grant proposals. This way they can apply for money to fund special programs or resources. Schools can also create after-school programs that provide tutoring and extra activities for students from low-income families to participate in, partnering with local organizations or universities with volunteers. Encouraging students and parents to advocate for better funding is important. Schools can organize meetings where community members can talk to local leaders about their specific needs, providing free or low-cost technology like laptops, internet access. These things can help students who struggle to keep up with online learning. And lastly, schools can set up peer tutoring programs where older students help younger ones with their studies, training older students to be tutors and pairing them with those who need help and create a caring learning environment. These solutions can make education fair, allowing all students to have the support they need to succeed. And this is my references slide. Thank you.